So pretty. I just want to stare at this cover even if I don't end up reading it next month. Hello everybody, happy Frog Friday. My name is Carly and today I'm going to be doing a TBR for the month of August. I usually don't make TBRs because I am terrible at sticking to them, but I wanted to get my thoughts together and just throw a bunch of options out here and hopefully I will get at least some of them read in August. So I've got somewhere around 20 books on this list. We all know I'm not going to read all of them, but I'm going to try my best. So let's get started. So I'm going to split this video into a couple different sections. So the first section is going to be the books that I'm planning on reading for Garbaugust, which is a month-long readathon during August where you're supposed to read garbage or trashy books. This was created and it's hosted by Olly from Criminale. So first up is Meg by Steve Alton. You may have already seen the movie for this book. I've seen parts of the movie but haven't watched it fully all the way through. I love sharks, so I've been wanting to read this one for a while. From what I've heard, it's basically a better version of the Jaws book. You don't have the mob subplot or like the unnecessary affairs and romance in that one. From what I know, it follows a science research team underwater investigating the possible appearance of a megalodon shark, which is a giant extinct shark that's much greater than a great white shark. And it comes back and, terrorizes a town like all sharks do apparently, according to fiction. But yeah, I've heard good things about this one, that it's a lot more scientific than Jaws. And I know that Lauren from Happy Haunts Library just read this recently. I think she enjoyed it, so I'm excited to get to this one. I really want to read it next month. And then the other thing I have on my list, it's not quite decided yet, but I want to get through some Chuck Tingle books. You may have seen my video where I tier rank different covers of Chuck Tingles, having not read a single one of them. So if you've seen that, then you know what type of books he writes. I do want to read a couple of those, and I also want to read his horror book that was just released called Camp Damascus. And I believe that's a horror or slasher story that takes place at a gay conversion therapy camp. So that's the only stuff I have planned so far for Garbaugust, but I might throw in a few other things here and there. The next category in the TBR is going to be the Stephen King section because, of course, I gotta have some Stephen King in there somewhere. I definitely want to get to the Drawing of the Three this month, which is the second book in the Dark Tower series. I'm not gonna tell you what it's about because it's the middle of the series, but I'm excited to get to it because I heard this is where it starts to pick up, because The Gunslinger was just like mid. It was nothing that great, but I've heard good things about this one. And then the other Stephen King book that I want to read in August is going to be It. Yes, I have not read it yet, but I do want to at least start it. I don't think I'm going to read all of it in August because it is like 1,100 pages, I think. And I do want to try my best to read the entire thing without audio. So it's going to take me a while. I'll probably be reading it over the next couple months. I originally wanted to save this for October to read in the spooky season, but every time I mention that, everyone tells me, no, you need to read it during the summer because it's like a coming of age story and it just fits way better as a summer read. So I figure I need to start it now while it still is the summer. Alright, next up is the books that I plan on reading for the amazing Readathon, which is hosted by Brianna from the channel 4 Paws and a Book. I went through all the books that I wanted to read, and I was really trying to fit into one of the smaller teams. I considered Red for a while because I do read a lot of horror, but so many books that I originally wanted to read only had like little parts of red in the cover, and then it would mostly be like white or black. So I just couldn't avoid it. I had to join my favorite color, and that is the blue team. So I'll be trying to read lots of blue books during August. So a few of the blue books that I'm going to try to read are The Meg, which I already talked about. That one, I know I showed you one that's more of like a black cover, but it does have a little bit of blue. But there's another cover of it that's like fully blue, the ocean, so I think that should count. Then I have Kelsi from the channel Slime and Slashers. I have her favorite book ever, and that is Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. This is my little beat up copy with the first 10 pages popping out, but I'm excited for this one. I know there's not really any horror in it, but it's definitely a blue cover, It's a coming-of-age book, so again, I want to try to read that in the summer because I know those two kind of go hand in hand with each other. Next blue book that I've got is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune, and this one I have been meaning to read for a while. I feel like you just have to be in the right mood to read a T.J. Klune because they're very similar vibes. Like, you gotta want that like happy, feel-good, comforting book. So I'm just gonna put this in here in case I feel like I need it this month. I believe this is a grief story, and our main character has passed away, and he's kind of like in this middle stage between life and death for a whole week at this little coffee shop owned by a guy named Hugo, and he's kind of helping him work through and deal with everything that comes with moving on and accepting your fate. Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about it. I've really enjoyed House in the Cerulean Sea and In the Lives of Puppets, so I should really like this one. I expect to give it 5 stars, but we'll see. Next up for blue books is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Very blue cover. This one is exactly what it says. Everyone in this person's family has killed someone. I've heard it described, or I think the inside cover describes it as being like Knives Out, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, and the game Clue. So I'm a fan of those type of like locked room mystery type of things. I believe the whole family's having like a reunion at a remote cabin together, and someone's found dead, so they gotta try to figure out who did it, but they're all viable options because they've all killed someone in the past. I don't think it should be anything too amazing or groundbreaking, but it should be a fun one nonetheless. I love stories like that. Next one is going to be The Deep by Nick Cutter. I read The Troop, but I didn't really like it, but I realized that that was like the first horror book that I ever read, really. So I think I wasn't used to the genre. I was a little put off by how jarring it was. So I think if I read it now, I would rank that one higher. So I've been meaning to read The Deep for forever. I don't exactly know what it's about. I believe it's like a research team that goes underwater to find some cure for a disease, and then they go missing. I heard that he makes it very atmospheric and that it's super claustrophobic. So I think this one will really affect me because I have had traumatic experiences trying to get scuba certified. I had to drop out of that. I never ended up getting certified. It is not for me. I get too much anxiety doing that. I will stick to snorkeling. So I really think that that book could get me. The horror aspects of that could really affect me. And then the last book that I've got that could potentially be blue, I don't know if I would count it because it's really only the outline that's blue. I don't know about the back cover, but it's Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. And this one has been everywhere recently. Apparently I am the only one that was left out of the loop of this existing. All I really know is there's like an island where all the people are stuck reliving a day from 1990 something, 1995 I think, and so you're trying to figure out what's going on. That's really all I know about it. Very weird. There's lots of nostalgic things in it, and again it takes place on an island, so sign me up. Next up, I've got a few book club books to read. And the first one is Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. This is the August pick for the Pyramid Book Club, which is a book club hosted by Monica from A Little Bit of Monica, Michelle from Michelle's Library, and Lexie from Books with Lexie. I join in a lot on the live streams, but I never end up reading the books, and I told them I would finally read one, so I'm going to be doing this one. It'll be my first Darcy Coates book. I honestly have no idea what it's about. If I had to guess, it's going to take place in the winter, and there's going to be some death. That's just a wild guess I'm going to put out there, you know? I can't really tell you much more about it. Sorry if I suck at explaining these books. I like to go into a lot of the books without knowing much about it. You know, if I hear good things about it, and it's from people that have similar book tastes as me, then why not just go right into it? I think it's more exciting that way than kind of spoiling yourself, because I feel like a lot of times you read a synopsis of a book and it ends up spoiling a lot of things for you. The next book is also from a book club. The next book is also a book club pick, and it's Everything the Darkness Eats by Eric LaRocca. This one is for the Dark Hearts book club, and that is hosted by Amy from Amy Noel. I know nothing about this except it's another collection of stories from an author that I've enjoyed before. Sorry. He writes weird stuff. He writes weird horror. Give it a shot. And then there's a few other book clubs I'll probably try to read books from, but I haven't decided yet. Kelsi, I'll probably read one of yours. Don't know which one yet because you have 3 for August. And then Katrina from Katrina Brown. She's also got a book club that just started, but I don't know what the August pick is yet, so I'll probably try to pick that one up since I wasn't able to get to the July one. And now this last category of books is just random other books that I want to get to. So we've got Mayfly by C.J. Lead. From what I know about this, it's basically a female version of American Psycho about this girl who works as a Disney princess at Disney World. I'm hoping I'll like this one more than American Psycho because there's one thing that Bret Easton Ellis did in that book that I really just got annoyed by reading it and like so bored by. He would describe like every single person's outfit and everything, the brand of every single piece of clothing and jewelry they were wearing every single time someone walked into the room, or he would like describe the furniture in depth, and you have like a whole page on someone's outfit, and he did that every single time someone entered the scene. So I was so bored by that. So I feel like I might enjoy this one a little more than American Psycho if it's like the same type of thing, but you got a woman. So I'm not saying it's better, but it's probably better, and you probably don't have those page-long descriptions of what every single person is wearing. Next one I want to get to is The Last Town by Blake Crouch, which is the 3rd book in the Pines trilogy. If you haven't read the Pines books yet, highly recommend. I know a lot of people know about Dark Matter and Recursion by him, but Pines is so good. You guys gotta read it. And I don't want to like spoil it, so this is the 3rd book, so I'm not going to say what it's about, but I guess I can say what the Pines book is about, the first one. Basically, this guy wakes up in a town and he doesn't know how he got there or how to get out, and there's just weird things going on here, and the whole time you're kind of struggling with him, trying to figure out what is really going on in this town. It's very Twilight Zone-esque, X-Files type of thing, so if you like that vibe, definitely give it a shot. Then I want to pick up Tastes Like Candy by Ivy Tholen. Hope that's how you say her last name. This one, again, I don't know much about it. All I really know is that I've heard good things from a lot of people that have read it. Everyone seems to enjoy it. It's just supposed to be like a little fun slasher book that takes place inside of a carnival or amusement park. Then I want to get to Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I read the little prequel novella that takes place before this. It's the first book in, I believe, a trilogy. Like I said, I've read the prequel beforehand that's really short and gives a little backstory, but I've been really wanting to get to that first book. It's about a research team going out into the middle of the ocean to investigate mermaids, and then stuff goes wrong and they get lost, and it's like a sci-fi horror. Then I have listed Island by Richard Lehman. I have still yet to read a Lehman book, so I figured I would just pick one up, and this is the one that intrigued me the most because, again, it's on an island. That's really all you have to do to get me to read a book. Tell me that it takes place on an island. Have I said it enough? Other than that, I don't know a whole ton about it. I believe a ship gets shipwrecked onto this island, and there's a killer that's out in the forest there, and I'm assuming he comes after these people that have been shipwrecked. I've got 3 more books, and they're all books that I just happened to pick up the other day at the library. I was just, browsing the shelves, and they caught my interest, so I picked them up. First one is The Postmortal by Drew Magary? I think it's Magary. This is the same author that wrote The Hike, which I've had that one on my TBR for a long time, but I still have yet to read it. But I didn't realize that when I picked it up. To be honest, I only picked this one up because this is my favorite type of book. Let me know what type of book you like. Are you a paperback? Are you a hardback, mass market? What type of thing do you like? Because I don't know what these are called, but these like super floppy paperbacks, they get me, okay? This is my favorite type. You can literally open it up and like sit it down on a table and it will stay open. That's why it's a perfect eating book. You can eat while reading and not have your hands on it. It's like using a Kindle or something. But anyways, let me know if you know what that type of book is called, because I love these floppy books and I don't know what to search for when I'm trying to find one. But I will just read you the summary on the back of these. So this one says, imagine a near future where a cure for aging is discovered and after much political and moral debate made available to people worldwide. Immortality, however, comes with its own unique problems, including evil green people, government euthanasia programs, a disturbing new religious cult, and other horrors. Witty, eerie, and full of humanity, The Postmortal is an unforgettable thriller that envisions a pre-apocalyptic world so real that it is completely terrifying. I've also seen this book described, or like this author compared to Chuck Palahniuk, so perhaps if you like him, you could give this guy a shot as well. And then I picked up Dead Astronauts by Jeff Vandermeer. I just want you guys to take a look at this cover, okay? Because that's the sole reason I picked this one up. I've had this one on my TBR for a while just because of the cover. That's probably the prettiest cover I've ever seen. I'm in love with it. But I'm also a little scared for this one because so far I've only read one Jeff Vandermeer and I had to DNF it because I was so bored by it. That was Hummingbird Salamander. But like his covers are unbeatable. Like he is unmatched. His cover game, top tier. I don't know who does the covers, but I love all of them. So I'm really hoping to like this one and that it was just like a one-off thing that I didn't like the other one, fingers crossed. And I did read the synopsis of this, but I could not explain it to you if I wanted to. It just, I'm not seeing a plot, okay? But I'll just read it to you and you'll understand what I'm saying. A messianic blue fox who slips through warrens of time and space on a mysterious mission. A homeless woman haunted by a demon who finds the key to all things in a strange journal. 3 ragtag rebels waging an endless war for the fate of the world against the ruthless corporation. A raving madman who wanders the desert lost in the past, besieged by his own creation. An invisible monster whose name he has forgotten and whose purpose remains hidden. Jeff Vandermeer's Dead Astronauts presents a city with no name of its own, where in the shadows of the all-powerful company, lives, human and otherwise, converge in terrifying and miraculous ways. At stake, the fate of the future, the fate of Earth, all the Earths. So, if you understand what that means, let me know because I have no idea. It's just so pretty. I just want to stare at this cover even if I don't end up reading it next month. Alright, and then the last book that I picked up was Coma by Robin Cook. It says it's a blockbuster bestseller, yet I've somehow never heard of it. I don't know if I'm just out of the loop on this one. But this is the synopsis of it. They called it minor surgery, but Nancy Greenlee, Sean Berman, and a dozen others, all admitted to Boston Memorial Hospital for routine procedures, were victims of the same inexplicable, hideous tragedy on the operating table. They never woke up. Susan Wheeler is a third-year medical student working as a trainee at Boston Memorial. 2 patients during her residency mysteriously go into comas immediately after their operations due to complications from anesthesia. Susan investigates and finds the oxygen line in operating room number 8 has been tampered with to induce carbon monoxide poisoning. Then Susan discovers the evil nature of the Jefferson Institute, an intensive care facility where patients are suspended from the ceiling and kept alive until they can be harvested for healthy organs. Is she a participant in or a victim of a large-scale black market dealing in human organs? So that's kind of wild. I read that and I decided I had to take it home because, first of all, the cover reminds me of the one episode of Criminal Minds that will absolutely never leave my head, and that is the puppet episode where the guy like kidnaps people and strings them up in puppet lines, and like breaks their bones and stuff to move them like puppets in a theater show. That one, I think about that like on the daily, honestly. If you've seen Criminal Minds, let me know if you too think about that episode a lot, because that is the scariest thing I've ever seen, probably. It will never leave my brain. And also, then when I read the back of it, it reminded me of a particular Riley Sager book. If you know, you know. I'm not going to say more than that. I almost forgot, but there's one other book that I want to read this month, and it's Slasher Witch at the Water Park by Penny Moons. I couldn't tell you much about this, except that it's a fun little slasher that takes place inside of a water park. There's a witch involved. And it's on KU. I was recommended this one by Katrina, and she told me that there is a giant frog driving a golf cart in it, so that kind of sold me on the book right there. I didn't need to know more about it than that, so that's all the information you get on the book. So those are all of the books on my August TBR. Hopefully I read at least half of them, but you know, we all know I'm not going to read all 25, 20 books, whatever those were, so we'll see. We'll see in the wrap-up. I'm going to make this to try to hold myself a little bit accountable here. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. 2 things that I'd like to know down below if you have an answer for me. First of all, do you remember the puppet episode of Criminal Minds? Have you watched it? Is it also ingrained in your mind forever? And then second, do you know what these floppy paperbacks are called? Because I'm in love with them and I don't know what to search when I want to buy one. And for today's frog fact, it's not really a fact. I just wanted to share a cool frog with you. It's the Vietnamese mossy frog. It's one of my favorite frogs. I just think they look really cool. They live up in like caves and rocky formations in northern Vietnam. They spend a lot of their time sitting in the water just with their eyes above the water, and they look exactly like moss, so they blend in really well with their surroundings. I just think they're super cool to look at. I have seen them in the pet trade, but they're not really easy to take care of ones. So they're definitely not a beginner frog pet to have, but I still think they are super cool. So yeah. Thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye.